What is up? Today I'm going to talk about different types of Zoan Devil Fruit and maybe share with you something you never knew about it before. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I'm sure many long-term One Piece fans are thinking, you're going to explain something different about Devil Fruit? How are you going to do that in regards to Zoan Fruit, because they are often the simplest? And that is true, but there's usually some things that I think a lot of people miss, especially upon their first viewing or their first read through. And I think for newer fans especially, it can be a little hard to see just how powerful Zoan Fruit really are. So the first thing you have to understand is, yes, technically Zoan Fruit are the simplest of all the different Devil Fruits, but that's really in name only, because Zoan Fruits are related to animals. They are the animal fruit. So some of the most notable fruits that we have seen are, Chopper's human fruit, as well as ones related to birds, as well as many types of land animals, and even occasionally mixed hybrid animals. But the thing we have to look at really when we think about Zoan is what their basic nature is. So they are the animal fruit, and they give us 3 different transformation options. They give you your animal form, your human form or base form, and then a hybrid form, the mixing of the two. Now, the hybrid form is often the one that many people choose because it grants the best of both worlds, most of your human strengths as well as all the strengths of your animal. There is some notation, though, that other types of fruits are usually viewed as more powerful because, again, an animal's power may be simple, but it doesn't have to be, because some animals are way stronger than others. Most likely, if you look at animals that can fly, like Pell's Hawk fruit, that is going to be an extreme advantage on any kind of battlefield. An animal that grants you abilities in regards to heavy defense, like a tortoise fruit or stuff like that, can definitely be a big boost. And of course, you cannot underestimate the ideas of animals that are meant for fighting, like wolves and jaguars. But even beyond that, there is more that can be done with a Zoan fruit than just using these basic forms. I think that the best example of this comes with Chopper. Now, Chopper managed to use pharmaceuticals to create his Rumble Balls. His Rumble Balls originally gave him access to 7 different forms. Now, after the time skip, Chopper has gotten so good with it, he can access these 7 forms whenever he wants without it, needing only the Rumble Ball to access his most devastating form. That's kind of a big improvement, because you have to understand that as the human fruit user, it's not like humans are geared towards anything exceptionally. We're not actually all that great at most things other than our high capacity brain power. Because of that, the ability for Chopper to switch between all the things that humans can actually achieve, like his speed, his ultra intelligence, his ability to focus his eyes on extra things, his targeting mode, and even his heightened endurance and his tank mode, are all very important because they're aspects that could be present in humans. Using the Rumble Ball and then later his training allowed him to access these at any time he needed to. There are some other less extreme examples of using alterations to a Zoan fruit, but that's probably one of the best examples. Now, one of the other things that usually makes the Zoan fruit a bit more special is that they're probably the most plentiful. Yes, technically Paramethea are the most commonly seen in the series, and are still the most seen in the series. But when you really think about it, Zoan fruit are probably the most common in the world of One Piece, because you can have multiple models of a particular type. You can have multiple models of the cat fruit, you can have multiple models of the dog fruit, so on and so forth. Because of that, it's more likely that you have multiple models of particular types of Zoan fruit than anything else. You can have upgraded forms of Paramethea and even Logia fruit, but you don't have straight up copies of them with only slight differences. There isn't, for instance, a blue flame fruit and a red flame fruit for Logia types. It's all just the flame fruit. Because of that, Zoans are probably capable of overwhelming the world if you got enough of them. Not that you would need to, because Zoans are also the easiest to copy. Perhaps because they're based on something so close to reality, but they can be easily extracted and copied. We've even seen this on occasion with what will be the last type of fruit we'll cover. But the interesting thing is that they don't even have to be good copies. Smile fruit was a big point in the series because even though it doesn't give you real Zoan powers, it still gives you a massive upgrade to your offense and defense, even if it's only summoning part of an animal out of your body. It's really weird and clearly a defect in regards to how a Zoan fruit should actually work. But even regarding that, it's pretty fair to say that they are a big upgrade to any army or fighting force that they are in. Which does lead us to our last thing that we need to talk about, which is mythical Zoan fruit. Now, mythical Zoan fruit aren't fully explained all that well in the series. We kind of pick it up more as an audience than it's ever just we're sat down and explained to. But mythical zone fruit are based around mythical animals, obviously. I think the biggest regard to that is the fact that mythical zone fruit have to be based on particular types of animals like the phoenix or dragons. Now, the power that you get from using those is pretty exceptional, and there's a reason why they are sought out so much, almost equally to Logia fruit. As a matter of fact, you can actually pair mythical zone fruit up against Logia fruit, and probably it would be a very interesting battle. We've seen Marco's Phoenix fruit tank hits from Logia users, and Kato is nearly unstoppable with his model dragon fruit. So because of that, you really have to keep in mind that mythical zone fruit are some of the most exceptionally powerful, and you can't leave them out of the conversation whenever you talk about zone. Now, that does also leave the possibility of awakening fruit, and we've never actually really seen... I shouldn't say we've never seen an awakened mythical fruit, but the context for it is different. We saw it get awakened into a mythical fruit. We've never seen somebody like a model Serio user awaken their dragon into something else. That could be potentially powerful, and a lot of people speculate that Momonosuke will actually reach that stage. If he does or not, we don't know, but it could be very interesting because the obvious awakening of just Paramethea are so powerful and just of a regular zone fruit. So that's pretty much everything we know about zone fruit. If I missed anything, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and let me know which zone fruit you would want if you were given the choice.